celebration of the 50th day after Easter, which is today. It is a very, very unique experience because we're trying to incarnate, to see something in the moment, something that we can behold, perceive, and celebrate as festival, which is really the most spiritual of all events described in the Gospels, perhaps even. Purely spiritual. And you know that from the Acts of the Apostles, from the Gospel, that after the resurrection of Christ, all the way to Ascension, there was this incredible time of grace. From Easter Sunday, 6 weeks, 40 days, all the way to the time of Ascension of Christ, that the disciples around him, his friends, those who were intimately connected with Jesus during the time of Christ's incarnation in 3 years, they were not quite aware actually of the pain of the events of Holy Week right after the resurrection, because simply he was with them all the time. Those 6 weeks between our celebration of Easter and Ascension are a time of incredible outpouring of grace. And we can see it today, for instance, in the way how the cycles of nature, what nature does in those 6 weeks from between Holy Week and Ascension. Everything is just exploding with life. So imagine that feeling that the disciples, the apostles had during those 6 weeks, whereby they knew that the source of the sprouting of the new in them, around them, in the world, was the one who was in his body of resurrection, dwelling among them. Nobody would even ask questions, why and how and who are you? They just lived pure experience. Kind of a beginning, coming back to the time of innocence, paradise now. And comes this moment of Ascension, which is the end of the Gospels, and they see him. He's leading them to the mountain, and they see how this body that was the source of their life is just expanding in a great spiritual, physical vision, and assumes, so to speak, in itself the whole planet. In the biblical language, this is expressed in the picture of the cloud. The clouds took him. So something that was quite personal for this little community around him becomes in Ascension a universal property of the entire planet. Well, we have to imagine that this mood that follows that, so those 10 days between Ascension and Pentecost, and so between 40 and 50 days, they were extremely sad. They actually started coming back to themselves. What just happened? Only then they were able to look back at the events of Holy Week, and they realized that death, crucifixion, suffering, those 6 weeks of spreading pure joy and spreading wisdom of the risen one, and now he's gone. And yet he himself promised, and just the way we heard about it today in the gospel reading, if you love me, you know that it's necessary that I'm gonna be with you differently. And in then seeking me, you will find peace. There's a moment of almost a group egoism that they were facing there. Well, imagine, after resurrection, he is with them always. We are just fulfilled. Here in our little group of 20, we are fulfilled. We don't have to make any connections with anyone else from a certain point of view. We are content. So Christ is teaching them on a higher level, just like each of us has to teach ourselves to overcome our egotism. He's teaching them, it is to your benefit that I'm not going to be among you like I was all through this time, and you have to make an effort to seek me in the world. And the kids, of course, hear that too in children's service every time they come in. The Spirit of God will be with you when you seek Him. I will seek Him. And this Pentecost is the festival of saying just that, what kids do, that each of us take that consciousness, this new consciousness, into our clear mind and say, I will seek him. I will seek that experience that I have here at the altar or in the moment of my intimate prayer. And I will take that and seek him everywhere. In nature, around me. In civilization. In culture. In the good and the ugly and whatever is in between. He is there, and he wants us to know it. There is no one way to really comprehend that experience, and this is where this church to which all belong, who are aware of the health, bringing power of the Christ, each of you, each of us, each one who is on the way and seeks him is the pillar of this cathedral. We had this beautiful moment a few minutes ago of releasing those intentions back into the spiritual world. It's interesting. John just asked Isaac, where are they going? Again, perplexing question. Where did they go, these dogs? Remember we spoke about it a few minutes ago. They know where their home is. They remember something that so many of us today no longer remember. That our true home is together with Christ and his Father in this new sphere that he is creating, in the kingdom that he's creating, no longer just in the spiritual world, no longer only in the forms that we are trying to create a civilization, but there in between us. Between I and I. Between us and other us. Between the kingdoms of nature. There he is, creating this world anew. Creating this world as we breathe, as we seek, as we grieve, as we are lonely. He is in this world, in between the worlds, always, until the end of times. So I imagine, of course, we know that the doves found their place somewhere in Inglewood, but in the meantime, they actually spiritualized that content that we gave them, the prayer, and shared it with him, with the risen Christ, and with all the creatures of this world. And it's a fantastic, amazing observation that was made by keen observation of pigeons and doves particularly. They're the only known species of birds, that whole family, that has this unique capacity to create they have a special gland here on the level of their neck, doves. They have a special gland where they create a special substance with which they feed their young. And different cultures have different names for it. I know in Poland we call it ptasie mleczko, which is the milk of birds. I don't know if you have it in your languages. Bird's milk, that's something unique to doves and to pigeons, that family. So it's a substance that is unique because, of course, it resembles that milking process when the young one comes and feeds from that prepared, pre-digested food. And it's significant that this organ in the bird is happening here where our organ of speech is developed. There's a relationship between this milk with which they feed their young and our word that is also a mediator between our inner content and our social life. And of course, in the beginning was the Word. Christ himself is that good message, good word that was sent to us in Jesus from the heart of the spiritual world, from the heart of the Father. That's why whenever you see these spiritual occurrences in the Bible and the Gospel, the messenger is the dove. The messenger between the world, our world, and the spiritual world, or the spiritual world and our world, is the dove. The dove is also always a picture of an angel. Angelos means the sent one, the messenger. So we're talking about imaginations, spiritual pictures. We are opening ourselves to the angels, and we know that they are among us. They weave our destinies in joy or in sorrow. But today we've done something different. We reversed that. We took those little creatures, like angels, and we sent our good word not only to those in need, but also to the Father himself, through Christ. We send our angels, our good thoughts, our intentions, into the heart of all. So they know that there is at least 20 people in this city, the city of angels, who are celebrating Christ and the sending of the healing spirit together with them, with all the angels.